Hi, my name is Steven and I'm a product manager at Apple. Today I'd like to show you how to use Podcast Producer to create and capture content. Podcast Producer is a complete end-to-end solution for encoding, publishing, and distributing high-quality podcasts. It's ideal for employee training, university lectures, presentations, or whatever audio and video podcast your organization requires. Podcast Producer simplifies the process of recording content, encoding, and publishing podcasts for playback in iTunes and on iPod, iPhone, and Apple TV. Let's dig right in. First, we're going to launch the podcast capture application from down here in the dock. Before I can use it, I need to log in, so let's type in my password. Now that I'm logged in, I have access to the features of podcast capture. You'll notice that there are 4 different quadrants. The first one is video, where I can record video and audio. The second quadrant over here is audio. This is where I can do an audio-only podcast. Down here in the lower left-hand corner is screen. This we can use to capture screen captures for doing demos or maybe even capturing a keynote presentation along with an audio track. And the last quadrant here is file. Now when I select this, I can actually choose a file from my hard drive that I can submit to the Podcast Producer engine. For this demo, let's go ahead and select video. When I click this the video button, I actually have the option of choosing various video sources. It's default selected, the iSight camera, but if I have remote cameras on my network, I can choose one of those as well. Here you see I've got access to a Yosemite conference room and even a web studio. But for this, let's select the iSight camera as well as the built-in microphone on my system. Once we've chosen those, we simply click the record button and we can start capturing video. For this simple podcast, let's assume that we're creating some sales training materials for a company. I'm going to go ahead and click the record button. Hello everybody, this is the first in a series of podcasts that we're going to be doing to get sales training materials out to the field. You will be receiving an iPod Shuffle in the mail. This iPod Shuffle will contain all the latest sales training materials. To use this, simply plug in your headphones, click the play button, and you will get access to the latest materials. To subscribe, go into iTunes where you will get up-to-date information on all of our sales materials. When I'm done recording, I simply click the Publish button, and I'm brought to this screen where I can choose a few things. The first thing I want to choose is a workflow. Podcast Producer includes 14 workflows. For this one, let's choose Blog and iTunes with intro and effects. And let's give this podcast a title. Let's call this Sales Training Podcast Part 1. And the description will be Latest Sales Training Materials. When I click the Done button, my podcast has now been submitted to Podcast Producer. Now let's take a look at how podcast capture can be used to do screen captures. First, we need to launch the podcast capture application from down here in the dock. And we need to add our password in to log into the system. Here we are. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to do a screen capture, so we're going to select the screen icon from here. And in addition to capturing my actions on the screen, Podcast Capture will also do an audio recording. So for this, we're going to select the built-in microphone, and we're going to click the record button. We are now doing a screen recording. I'm going to select the keynote presentation that I have open here. This keynote presentation is for the new Trek Fuel EX. The new Trek Fuel EX is a revolutionary new bike from Trek. It has a brand new redesigned frame with a new rocker link, lower shock mount, and rear pivot. Additionally, it also has an active braking pivot. That's the new Fuel EX bike from Trek. When I'm done with my screen capture, I click the pause button and I click publish to prepare my podcast to be submitted. For this one, I'm going to select the Blog and iTunes with watermark workflow. I'm going to title this Fuel EX. And my description will be Sales Presentation. When I click the Done button, my podcast is now being submitted to Podcast Producer. So you've just seen how Podcast Capture can be used to capture audio, video, and even record my actions on the screen. All this great content is processed by Podcast Producer for delivery to iTunes, my blog, and much more. For more information, please visit us at apple.com/business.